No, whatever the LWC topics are there, everything we will be doing it in the Visual Studio. Each and like whether it is a HTML, CSS or a JavaScript, LWC component, everything we will be doing into the Visual Studio. So Visual Studio is very important. Is everyone having the Visual Studio in your system?
No, ma'am.
Ask, is anyone does not have a Visual Studio configuration done in their laptop? Because if you say if you do not have, then I'm going to cover the Visual Studio. Otherwise, I'll skip the Visual Studio. Anyone does not have a Visual Studio?
No, ma'am. I don't have.
Okay. Let's talk about the Visual Studio configuration. So Visual Studio is basically it is a IDE, integrated development environment. So where we will be doing the entire development and coding part entirely done in the Visual Studio. Everything we have to do it within the Visual Studio. So for Salesforce, we have a two environments, two IDE. One is a developer console and the second one is a Visual Studio. But the LWC, we cannot implement in the developer console. Lightning Web Components can be implemented only within the Visual Studio. We have a few more app exchanges are available for the LWC implementation coding part of it. That app exchanges we will see later. For now, it is important that every developer should have a Visual Studio in their desktop. Even the real time also they expect everybody should be having the Visual Studio on their system. Now check your configuration before installing or before setting up the Visual Studio. What is your system configuration? So whether you are using the Windows or Mac or whatever the system you are using it, and what is the system type? Is it a 64-bit operating, or what is your system format? Everything cross-verify according to that. So we will have a different Windows 64, Linux, Mac. So according to that, so you need to go to this site, code.visualstudio.com. So go to the code.visualstudio.com. Open this link. Let me paste this link. If you are attending for the first time, guys, please fill the form. The form is provided. So this is the URL. I have pasted in the chat. So go to that URL. If you are attending for the first time, please make sure to fill the form. Okay, so here, this is the link. Go to this link. And based on the configuration of your system, whether it is a Linux or Windows or Mac, based on that, so what you can do is you can click on this download for Windows. Or if you have a Mac, So you can give here Mac and you can install it, and Windows also you can install Linux. So based on the system configuration, just install the Visual Studio. Once you are done with installation of the Visual Studio, just click on this, run, double click on that installer. So there is a file that we created at the downloads. You will see at the downloads. Today my system is slow. So you will see in the downloads, it says VS Code user setup -S x64-1. So this is because my system configuration is a 64-bit. System configuration is 64-bit. So that's the reason I have installed this. So based on your system configuration, you can click on this and you will see in the download option, there is a application will be there. So just double click on this application. So once you double click on this, it's a exe file. It will take a minute to execute it. So once it is executed, you will see this screen. So you will see this screen. On this screen, just select here, I accept the agreement. Click on this next button. Once you click on this next button, you will see these are the created desktop icon. By default, give a check boxes and click on this next. And then install it. So once you click on this install button, it will take a second to complete the installation. Now, once the installation is completed, then you can see here Visual Studio is completion is done, and then click on this finish button. So once you done with the finish button, so on click of the finish button, system will open up the Visual Studio. By default, VS Code installation will be there in your C drive, users, programs, and you will see Microsoft VS Code. And by default, it will open up this screen. So when the screen is open, you will see something here. Let's say file, new window. Something you will see like this. Welcome, Visual Studio Code. You will have all the start button, walkthrough, sessions, and recent. You will not see the recent. The reason I'm able to see because I'm used to be Visual Studio. So whoever is doing for the first time, they will not be able to see any recent files here. But you will be able to see start button, walkthrough, all these options will be available. So just close this welcome button. Then you will see this is the screen, it is available. So this is the default screen, it is available. Now on this default screen, so this is how it looks like when you initially do this. So get started will be there. So close this get started and you will see something called as a Explorer Open Editor. So don't worry about it. This is just information it is giving this. Don't click on anything. Just close the get started. And this is as it will be there. Now here get started will be it will just give the information. This is the editor page. This is editor where you will be writing the code or modifying the code. Everything will be done on this editor. And the next one will have the left side, you will see it is called as a sidebar. This is sidebar. You can minimize the sidebar or you can maximize it is possible. So in the sidebar, you can see all your project related files, Explorer, which is going to assist you while working on the project. So this is all the information you can see in the sidebar. And at the bottom, you will have, it's called as a status bar. And this status bar is going to give you the information of whether you are connected to the Salesforce or not. Do you have any problems? So kind of some information it is going to give you the status bar. And then we have a left side. These are the icons are available. There are different icons are available. So these icons are available on the activity bar. This is called activity bar. On the activity bar, you will see different icons. So these, you will see the different options are available. We will see these options going further, but right now the activity bar is contains the different icons. And on the top, we have a menu bar. In the menu bar where you can perform a different actions will be there. Now, if I go to the Visual Studio, so this is the editor. Whatever this is, we have it. This is called editor. Okay, so this part is the editor where we will be writing the code. And this is the activity bar. This is activity bar. And once you click on this, it will open up the sidebar here. When you click on anything, the sidebar gets open. Let's say if I click on this, then the sidebar gets open. If I click on again, the sidebar will be minimized. Now at the bottom, it is a status bar. It is just going to give you the information whether you are connected to the Salesforce or any pull request or push request are available or not. On the top, you will have a menu bar. So in this menu bar, you will see file, edit, selection, view, go, run. All these options are available. So once you are done with the Visual Studio, if your system is slow or does not have a good space, then I would request you to restart your system. Once you are done with the restarting your system, the next step will be the Salesforce DX CLI. So far what we have completed. So far what we have completed, what are the steps that we have done in the Visual Studio? From the Visual Studio. Where should we go to install the Visual Studio?
code.visualstudio.com.
So we need to go to the code.visualstudio.com. This is the site. So this is the installation. So based on the configuration, you will click on the download button. Now, once the installation is done, what is the next step that we have to do? Once it is installed,
Restart the VS.
run the exe file. So with the default option, you will click on next, and install. So once it is done with installation, what is the next step that we have to do? I have completed the installing, downloading and installing part. This is the download and done with the completed the installation. Once the installation is completed, can I open the Visual Studio in system?
Yes.
Open Visual Studio. Now, what are the options will be available in the Visual Studio? What are the actions that I, sorry,
Editor,
editor,
status bar, menu bar.
status bar, menu bar, and then
Sidebar,
sidebar, and then what is the last one?
Activity bar.
Activity. So these are the different options are available in the Visual Studio. Now this step is completed up to here, Visual Studio. Now Visual Studio installation is completed. Now once it is completed, the Visual Studio, now this Visual Studio need to connect with Salesforce. Visual Studio is, I have installed on the desktop. This is a on-premise. Desktop I have installed. Salesforce, where it is? Do we need to install the Salesforce?
no,
Where it is, the Salesforce, which application? What based application it is?
Cloud-based application.
Cloud. So now from the desktop, I need to connect it to the cloud. I have a on-premise, which I have installed on the desktop Visual Studio. And this Visual Studio need to connect with cloud-based application, which is called as a Salesforce. So in order to have a connection between these two, we need to have a CLI, which is a Salesforce CLI. We need to install the Salesforce CLI. So with the help of this Salesforce CLI, we can enable the connection between the cloud-based application, Salesforce, and Visual Studio on-premise. Now, so how to install this Salesforce CLI? So CLI is nothing but a command line. This is interface. So I need to have an interface between the Salesforce and Visual Studio. This is the command line interface. Now for that, we need to install the Salesforce DX CLI. Salesforce CLI, we need to install it. This is also based on your system configuration. So you can go to this developer.salesforce.com tools SFDX CLI. By going to this, you will see here Salesforce CLI will be available. On the system configuration, download it. And the step 2 is, once the Salesforce CLI is installed, you need to validate sfdx command whether the terminal is installed properly or not. So you need to open the command prompt. So once the Salesforce CLI is installed, go to your Windows and type here cmd, open the command prompt, click on this open or run as a system administrator. So once you are open, just type here sfdx. So once you type this sfdx, it will take some time in order to get the information from the system. So whether it is installed or not. So once it is done executing, you will see that if everything is perfect, you will see the Salesforce CLI and the version will be available. What is the version that you have installed? Everything you will see. In case if there is any error, maybe you have a very older version. In that case, what will happen is it will give an error or it says that there is an older version need to be upgraded. So some kind of information hint it will give you. This will take time. In the meantime, let's see here. So this is how the information will be there and what is the version will be there. Now this interface will be connected with the Node.js. So we have a Node.js. So this CLI is connected with the nodes. That is a version 18. When I have taken, it was a version 18. Yeah, so this is how you will see. So I have typed the sfdx warning Salesforce CL update is needed because I have a older version 30. Now I need to update this to 30 to 37. Now version is, this is a node version is a 20 and I have a Salesforce CLI version is 30. It is giving a warning you need to update from 30 to 37. And these are the commands which are available in the Salesforce CLI, sfdx CLI. So these are the few commands which we can use it. So this is how you will see the output in the once you are done with the installation, except this warning. So you will see the Salesforce CLI versions and usage. This is how you will see.
Ma'am, how to update that version, ma'am?
You can update it. We have a commands to update it. So we will see that. So here you have a update the SF CLI. So if you use this update keyword, it will update the Salesforce CLI. Now I need to restart my system before I do the update because it's something weird it is happening. So after restarting my system, what I'll do is I'll say here update. So what will happen? Update the Salesforce CLI. If you want to install any plugins, list of the plugins, you can use the plugin, right? So if you want to know if you want to update or if you want to check the versions, you can check here. If you want to just check the versions, you can use the versions here. Yeah, we'll provide you the link of the Salesforce CLI. So far what we have done. So in order to enable the connection between the on-premise and cloud, so we have taken the interface. So this interface, we need to download the interface. Download Salesforce CLI. Once we are download, what is the next step we have to do? After downloading the CLI,
Open command prompt.
open the command prompt. And then
Run command.
What is
SF,
the command?
SFTX.
We have to run it, so we have to run the sfdx command. If I run the sfdx command, what I'll get if I run this sfdx command?
It will show whether the CLI is installed or not, or any older version, new version.
It will give you the what is the version it is implemented. If there is any upgradation is required, then it is going to suggest us that I need to upgrade it. Let's say if I wanted to know just the version. I just wanted to know whether the SFDX version is available or not. So for that purpose, we have a Mhm. So we have a option called which is available version. So what I'll do SFDX hyphen version. So it will just give the version details. So 2.30 is the Salesforce CLI. Salesforce CLI. And then we have a node version 20. So like this, if you want to update, you can update it. So for update also, you need to use the update keyword. Okay.
Just
So
update or
that's
SFDX update.
you can just run the SFDX update.
Okay.
You can try here. If I say just update, what will happen? If you are already in that place, then it will take some time to update it. So usually it is a SFDX hyphen update. So tomorrow I'll do that update. I need to restart it. Okay. So once this is done, search for a system environment. Now go to the start button. Go to the start button and then you need to search for a system environment variable. Just search here, system environment variables. So you will see system environment variables. In this system environment variables, click on this open. So once you are done with this, then go to the path. There is a user variables are available, system variables are available. In this, go to the user variable, just check the path. Now let's see here, I have opened the system environment variables. Again, click on this environment variables. Now you will see the path. So double click on this path. Just make sure that whatever the Salesforce SFTX CLI is installed. So you will see here program files SF bin. Program files SF bin. So you need to update it. Usually it will automatically take care in case if it is not done. So what you can do is you can add that Salesforce DX CLI path. Now once this is done, again click on this new button and Salesforce CLI bin path. Check your environment variables in the path itself. You need to add it. So click on this OK. Now the installation of the Salesforce CLI is completed. Okay, so this is the Salesforce CLI. After installation, what is the configuration that we need to check? Where do we check whether it is updated or not, whether it is installed or not in the system?
System environment variable.
We need to go to the system environment variable. And in environment, how many boxes will be there in the environment? How many variables will be there? User variable and what is the other one? User
System
variable.
variable.
System variable. User variable and system variable. In the user variable, you need to click on the path and check the path is added or not. If it is not available, then manually add the path. You need to add the path manually. So this is the CLI interface we have installed on the desktop. I have installed on the desktop Salesforce CLI. Now, similarly in the Visual Studio, you will be having a package. In the Visual Studio, go to the Open Visual Studio. In the Visual Studio, you will see here extension in the activity bar, which is called as a extension. So by clicking on this extension, you will see all the different packages. Now, let's go to the Visual Studio. In the Visual Studio, so in the activity bar, we have one of the icon called extension. So click on this extensions and search here Salesforce extension pack. So this is the one Salesforce extension pack. So this package has to be installed. Once this package is installed, then you will see here 9 packs are available. Total 9 are available. So including this package, inside this pack, we have a Apex, which provides the coding standards of the Apex, and then we'll have a Apex interactive debugger, replay debugger, Salesforce CLI integration, Aura components, Visual Force, Lightning Web Components, Sockle, SLDS validator. So these are the different 9 options are available in this pack. So this is the extension for developing on the Salesforce platform. So this extension has to be enabled on the Visual Studio. Once you install, So once you install this, now you can start the creating the project. This creating a project we will see tomorrow. So these are the steps to install the Visual Studio. First step is download the Visual Studio and then install the Visual Studio. Second is Salesforce CLI. We need to install it. Download the Salesforce CLI from the given URL and then run it. Open the command prompt, check the SFDX version. If this is giving the proper output, then that means it is installed or downloaded, installed the Salesforce CLI correctly. If this is having a problem, that means your Salesforce CLI is not installed correctly. Either you need to uninstall it and install again. And once this installation is done, then check the environment variables in your system. Once that environment variable is configuration is done, what is the last step? What is the last step? This is the step 1 and step 2, downloading the Salesforce CLI and installation. And step 3 is environment variable. What is the step 4?
Install the
Download.
packages.
Salesforce.
We need to install the Salesforce extension pack on Visual Studio. So once you are done with all these 4 steps, then your configuration of Visual Studio is completed. That means now if I create a project or if I try to push the code from Visual Studio to Salesforce, if all these step 4s are configuration is perfect, then you will be able to have a interaction between the Visual Studio to Salesforce. So whatever the code you are updating or creating or modifying it, it will be synced to the Salesforce. Do the configuration today. So complete it. Whoever is not does not have the Visual Studio configuration, I request you guys to complete the Visual Studio configuration, because even HTML, CSS, JavaScript also, we will be doing those programs in the Visual Studio only. So complete your Visual Studio. Make sure it is up and running. Then tomorrow we will start with the HTML programs.
Swapna, can you please explain the first step again? System
Sorry?
environment variable.
System environment variable, go to your Windows and search for a system environment variable. So you will have a system environment variable, click on this open. So once you open this is the system properties that gets open, and click on here environment variables. In the environment variables, you have a 2 sections. One is a user. One is a user variables. And second one is a system variables. In the user variable, path, you need to check the path. Click on this path, edit. Okay. So once you click on this edit, you will see here option is available. See program files SF, which is a Salesforce CLI bin. If you do not have here, then click on this new button, add wherever the Salesforce CLI is installed. You need to add that path here. Usually, while installing itself, system is going to take care of adding the path in this environment variable. Clear?
Yeah, understood. Thank you, sir.